Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude BeyondMystic, and welcome to this special episode of Simulated with Reality with SOLRETA, my friend. This is part number 23. Can you imagine? You can find SOLRETA at SOLRETA Ontario here on YouTube and also at SOLRETA.com. SOLRETA, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so lovely to be back and to see familiar faces in the audience. So hello to all my soul family that's joining us as well. I can't believe it's 23.
Right. Well, thank you so much for being here. I kind of messed up my introduction there. I had so many things. I'm so excited to have you on. We haven't seen you in a while here. So, folks, thank you so much for joining us here tonight on this live interactive show. We'll be taking your questions maybe on the later half of the show. But tonight we're going to concentrate on water, everything having to do with water. The consciousness of water, the 4 states of water, H3O, structured water, and perhaps even female ejaculation. Well, okay, so if you have kids in the room, now's the time to get them out of the room. Okay, so Rena, first of all, how you been? We haven't seen you in a little while. What's going on with you?
Yeah, so just working busy, busy with family, busy with working 5 days a week as a reader, helping my clients with quantum jumping, developing a course for you as well, which is really exciting. So I've been just papers spread out everywhere, getting all my content ready, which is really exciting. And also other workshops planned as well for the year. So lots of like events and things coming up. So just kind of feeling that creativity kicking up where I'm like, I want to spread out to other areas. And I've got some really cool other interesting projects that I can't really talk about right now, but there's other things happening too. So,
I thought we were going to tell people what was going to happen. So we can't tell?
We can talk about the stuff you and I are doing. That's great.
Okay, no, I meant the other exciting. No. I meant the other big exciting stuff. You like, oh my God, you're about to go ballistic here. Okay, so
and I mean, this is the manifestation that's happening at the moment, and I'm working a lot one-on-one in sessions with clients with magic and with manifestation, and we're getting amazing results. My July was just a movie audition, a job or an offer for radio, which I'm going to do, which is amazing, and also potential TV. So like July. And working with manifestation, oh my gosh, I'm implementing a lot of what I'm doing with my clients as well. So I'm just having fun. That's
awesome.
I get to have fun every day.
Well, let's speak about that, folks. If you've had a reading with SOLRETA, and I know a lot of you have already in the chat, let us know how that was, because there's a lot of new subscriber here on the show who might not know SOLRETA. She hasn't been on in a while. And so let us know your experience there. Okay, so let's start there a little bit here. In the last couple of months, we're seeing basically there's a huge awakening happening. People are waking up in droves now, and the people who have been following us for a number of years now have also an extra duty of helping these people who are just waking up around them, right? So to kind of guide them through this red pilling process. So I wanted to know, as you're doing these readings here in the last couple of months, is there a different theme that's coming up? Is there a consensus? Is there something new perhaps that you can share with the audience members?
And this is partly why I wanted to talk about water, because the spirit of water keeps coming into just a couple of readings. It's like trickling in, but the message behind it is really important. And, she is a beautiful divine spirit that wants humanity to tap in and work with her. Actually, while we're talking, I'm going to send you some of the nature spirit. There was the show I did on my YouTube channel called The Thinning of the Veil, and we had a green giant show up right in the background just here. So, it was on that. Yeah. And I didn't notice, but my gorgeous friend, Gary King, who is a spirit photographer, was watching my show. He's like, oh my God, Sol, you're talking about the veil thinning and about these nature spirits. He's like, there's a giant one like right behind you.
Wow.
So I'll send that through to you now. But yeah, with what's happening with a lot of my clients at the moment, we're on the ends of clearing out past life. I guess you would say witch hunts and trials and accusations and things around what we would call the magicals. So what we've seen come up predominantly through the cards and through my readings is if kings have come up, it's been that there's been a lot of deaths or a lot of people that were hunted. If there's been more of an emperor energy come up in the cards to do with past life, it's been that it's more that those people have been captured and taken in to actually use for gaining power for that kingdom. And a lot of people have made vows, contracts, and agreements to close off so that they're not hurting anyone using their powers, even though they necessarily wouldn't have done that. But when someone's family's at risk or other things, we can see why we might have put seals, contracts, agreements. So I'm working with a lot of dissolving that, a lot of removing emotional blocks and trauma around any of that. And it's really bizarre how when it comes up for a client, it parallels in this lifetime, in the here and now. So when we remove something, say on like a multidimensional level, that ripple effect from that other lifetime, we're going to clear it in this timeline too. So we're doing a lot of that, but a lot of upgrading and working with how can we get people into their niche of their psychic powers and abilities. And because I'm one for anatomy and physiology and the geometry within, we're really looking deep, or my team is working with me to go deeper, to look into what's not just like with the psychic senses, but where do we sort of have this power of manifestation that's within us? And it keeps leading me to the water. So it's coming up a little bit with clients too, and about how we can use water, as a vibrational frequency for healing, or how we can use it for grids and all sorts of things.
All right, well, we'll get into all of the water stuff in a second here. So first of all, there's a lot of people saying, yes, they've had a reading with you. Absolutely fabulous. There's a lot of comments about your hair. Yes, you're absolutely gorgeous tonight, as always. And I wanted to ask this whole idea of maybe cutting karmic loops or having made these oaths or promises. Like, what can you recommend to the audience members who might want to take that on themselves right now? They know something's wrong. They know they might have made some old agreements in past lives that are affecting them. What would be the 1, 2, 3s of how to get this done yourself right now?
Yeah, sure. So I guess there's many different levels. If it's something that you've tried for a long time, or there's been a karmic attachment or agreement, it's definitely around frequency shifting. So, this is something that, if you've tried it for a while, it is good to reach out and seek professional help, because, we are doing it every day. But we're getting a little bit of feedback. I'm just going to turn my sound down. Always frequency shifting. I'll just send this to you, JC, where I've got it up. So there'll be...
You're sending it through Messenger or through Facebook? Where are you sending it?
Oh, I'm just going to send it to you through Facebook, because I've got your Messenger right here. So there's another... We're actually getting like really cool supernatural things come up with clients as well. So remind me to talk about that. But so what we do essentially, like when we're removing contracts and agreements, usually if you can call forth the person that there's either an attachment with, or you can call forth the spirit or entity. So it depends if you're working with a live living person, or if you're working with something from a past life, or if you're working with something that's attached to you in the here and now. But all of it is about frequency. So if you switch and change your frequency, just like you would like a radio station, and you start to get onto a different vibration, then what happens is you're able to get those little hooks taken out. But sometimes what we find when it's taking a little bit longer, or when it's stuck, it's usually because there's a hidden or trapped emotion. So if we release that, we release karmic contracts, agreements. A lot of people probably would have tried cord cutting already. The other thing you can do is working with sound, working with frequency. So like I work with these little guys, these little tuning forks, and I have the crystal singing bowls as well that I have. But yeah, definitely frequency. And I'm talking about like if we've got a high level attack or, entity. So say, for example, one of the hardest things to clear is in the past has been grays. So they're kind of relentless. We haven't seen them for a really long time. There has been a little bit of them trickling in to do with like CERN booting up. So yeah, there's many different types and many different ways to clear. So I always look specifically into my client, like what's going on, what kind of attachment it is, whether it's beings or whether it's like an old love flame attachment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Oh, was I on mute? No, okay, I'm back on. I'm reading the comments, and there's somebody asking, "Hey, JC, why isn't JC as often as he used to anymore?" Okay, there's a lot going on, folks. If you don't know already, there's been some censorship purging here on YouTube, so it's becoming more and more difficult to do the types of shows that I want to do here on YouTube. So that explains it. But I am hard at work on the private server where I'm still producing a lot of the uncensored content. It's just the nature of the game right now. And also, it is the summer, and I'm trying to spend some time with the family as well. There's a lot of crazy things happening in the world, and it's always time to take time with the family. So that explains that also. Okay, Libby says, thanks for answering that question. Well, thank you. Thank you guys for being here. You mentioned something about taking out the hooks, and that was fascinating to me because, yes, you can do these cord cuttings, as you said. There's all these different techniques you can do, but it reminds me also, and we'll get into the sacred waters later, but it reminds me of the sacred prostitute and the role. And in a lot of those old texts, it talks about the roles taking out the talon, which is like a talon hook of an eagle or basically of a griffin or of an entity having their hooks inside you. So that nomenclature has been in the books, so to speak, for a few thousand years. Anyways, we might get into that a little bit later in the show tonight. Where do you want to start? Well, do you want to do these pictures first? So I have a few pictures here.
Let's do that. It's so exciting. Even yesterday, I was reading for a client, and a fairy flew past her head, and she saw it at the same time as me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just saw a fairy. She's like, I saw it too. So we're having lots of really cool things. Like the veil is really thinning. And so some of these pics are examples of the veil thinning. I've had, different lights coming up for certain clients. I had a house elf looking like Dobby out of Harry Potter, or Dobby out of Harry Potter, appear in my kitchen the other week when I was reading for two of my beautiful clients. And then I'm just sitting there, oh my God. And the ears, the nose, everything. The thing that was different was he was actually taller than what I would have thought that they would have been. And just when you think,
how tall was it? What do you mean?
I would say like we've got high ceilings here. So I would say like around maybe 4 foot high. So I saw like a little head poke out from the side of the wall. And just when you think, oh, maybe I just imagined it, even though like I'm seeing a face look at me for a few seconds. And then I start reading again and he just checks back in. He's like, yeah, I'm here. So so we have nature spirits, we have house elves, fairies. I'm in the hills at the base of the hill.
First of all, for the people who don't know you, this is not new to you. You've had visitations all your life. But basically what you're saying, though, there is an uptick recently. You could say that. And that's part of that video. Guys, go watch the veil is thinning. That's why you're seeing all of this uptick as well. Okay.
Yeah, that'll run people down on like what's happening right in the moment and why our cameras can capture these things now. So if you're feeling that there's something around, I always suggest to take a photo because you never know what's going to turn up. I've had the most amazing Pleiadian triangle light ships and other, cloud ships with big orbs show up. I've got other.
I think you and I should probably do another show soon and just do that. Share some of the pictures you're taking.
Let's do that. That'd be great.
Crazy. Yeah. Okay. Britt Marie, thank you so much. I appreciate all the love and kisses. Glass Effects, JC, your following supports you and your choice to dial back on YouTube. We miss you, son. Yeah. I miss you guys too. I hope it's more temporary than anything else. But at the same time, what happened was a few of my friends have lost their channels already. And I'm kind of the last guy standing here. So if I lose mine too, I won't be able to support the friends that I have now, like SOLRETA, like May Levy, like Julian, those guys. So I'm trying to dial it back and do the best I can to abide by the rules here, to stay here as long as I can. It is a foothold in this territory where people are still waking up in droves, and I think it's important for me to be here, even though some of that content that you guys absolutely love cannot be here on this platform. So thank you everyone for understanding. But enough of that. SOLRETA, let's get into this one here. Press play. Do you want to set it up before I press play? What do you want to say?
Yeah, so I just want to give credit to my gorgeous friend Gary King, who has the channel Matrix 1111 Matrix Decoded. So we're going to be doing a show, I think, next week together again. He's amazing, like with his gematria decodings. He was like me. He had like 333 appear to him, woke him up every single morning for like 2 years straight. And so he started to receive messages from the matrix, or from outside, from the builders of the matrix. And so I sort of get similar, and I get the 333 as well. And so we've just become good friends. And he was watching my show and he saw this in the background. So you'll see the little filter come across, and there's a little face popping out just near the bottom of the S. It's got a love heart type shaped head. So we were talking about nature spirits when I tuned in after, because I could feel him around. And you never know what's going to capture on camera, because you don't always see it at the time because you're busy talking. But yeah, he's called the Green Giant, and it's really cute because like my partner will stand outside and he's like, "Hey, Green Giant, where are you?" And I'm like, "He doesn't work like that." So
Okay.
we're having fun with them.
Okay, so let me play this thing, and it's cool because it's going back and forth here to show you the distinction. I already see it right now before the highlight, but it's absolutely fabulous. So let me play this clip here and see if that works. And I'll try to zoom in so you guys can see. Oh, can I zoom that in? Yeah, there you go. See that?
Yeah, you can see the eyes, the mouth, the nose, everything. So, you know, part of my life mission, having seen stuff since I was young and experiencing mandalas appear in my bedroom, or ET UFO abduction and all sorts of things, part of my mission has been to not only prove to my parents that this stuff is real, not imaginary, but also to bring that to, you know, as part of my job here on Earth, is to really kind of help tap people into the unseen. And now with the veil thinning, it really is now just trying to bring comfort to people that this is actually normal. They've been here all along. And with this veil lifting, they're so excited that we're able to see them again and that we're able to reconnect. And it's really about working with the essence of the magic of Earth, with nature spirits. It's just like this kind of like meeting of family that we haven't seen in a really long time.
Well, okay, there's a question in here. Well, first of all, a bunch of people are saying, "Whoa, that's amazing, Gypsy Mama. Thank you so much. That's really cool." It is, and it's very exciting, says Britt Medit. Somebody's asking though, wait a second, is that a mantid? Doesn't look.
No.
I could see why you would ask that, but no.
I have had a lot of experience with mantids. It's definitely not a mantid. And, you know, I tend to find that the mantids, I've seen them more in hybrid programs. And I know those people talk positive and negative about many of the different races. So I always say, have it on a case-to-case basis, because like we wouldn't want to be judged on the so-called heads of, you know, big entities or organizations. We'll just put it in that term. So yeah, with this beautiful green giant, he's kind of part of nature, but works between dimensions, and he's very friendly. He has a beautiful energy that comes in. You sometimes feel him coming in the background with like a warm hug type feeling, but he was showing interest in what we were talking about. And, you know, they tune into energy. So it's not always that they're there for physical reasons, but they're just making themselves known a bit more. So I've got to do a forest walk soon and take my camera.
And I'm curious, how are your kids reacting?
Well, because my kids are older now, so they're almost 22, 15 and 13.
Yeah.
And so for them, it's funny because they talk about like at school, they're like, my friends follow you on like TikTok or Instagram, and they watch your reels, or like they'll watch your shows, things like that. So it's more that like some of the kids think it's interesting or cool, but my kids are like, oh, so weird, Mom.
Oh, not again, SOLRETA.
I know. It's like, oh, Mom.
You're cramping our style, Mom. Come on. I
know. Well, they did think the movie audition was cool, though. I had to like almost reenact it for them, let them know.
Can you talk about that or no? Not at all? You don't have to if you can.
I haven't done acting since high school, and I did used to get a lot of the main parts in high school. So, you know, I do have a love of that. Didn't think it was something that I would start until I was 80, because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do acting again when I'm 80. I'll just wait. I've got work to do here on Earth, and then I'll have fun, even though I have fun with my work anyway. And just I worked with some magic that I was manifesting, and some magic that I'm taking my clients through as well, one-on-one. And yeah, radio opportunity, a TV opportunity, and a movie opportunity came up. So the part was literally pretty much like my life story in a way. So it was so weirdly aligned. And even though I don't feel that, you know, that it's perhaps like what I'm doing, it's just really showing that potential possibility to keep my mind so open to anything manifesting. But I did make some great connections out of it too. So, and I had fun. I had fun playing It was a tarot reader.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
More someone going through a bit of a awakening. So it was interesting.
So if everything goes well, and if we're lucky, when could we expect to see you on the screen?
I have no idea.
No idea.
No idea.
Wow.
No idea, but I'm open to other opportunities. Oh, see that in the background? We just had, I think it was a crow fly past.
I love it. Okay, so Nadia, no, not a mantid. Okay, let me go back to the chat here. I love your belly dancing Instagram videos.
Oh, thank you.
We might do something about that, so hold that thought, Libby.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that.
Maybe in the pipe works.
Okay. Speaking of magic, Joe, and the magic you're doing with your clients, folks, if you want to book a reading with SOLRETA, you can do so at solreta.com. The coupon code for this evening is Water Love. You'll find that in the description box below, including
and I should mention that's for the 2-hour sessions as well.
Okay, very good. And now, and also talking about magic with clients, what's this one? What's happening here?
Yeah, so this is one of my gorgeous clients who was so beautiful letting me share this picture. So each time I would talk about light language, and we did a light language activation as well, but each time we would talk about her tuning into this beautiful light language, this column of purple light kept showing up. And yeah, you can just see she's just elated by experiencing and feeling that. And yeah, and then I'm like, you have a purple light. And then that's when she's seeing it. And I mean, I'm used to seeing energy in the aura, but when it comes in with this intensity, it's very similar to, there was a color like that taken, I think, over some of the Inca pyramids with codes that were in it. So I've seen that a couple of times with clients where we've had things come into the actual quantum field in our visible spectrum. So that's what I'm talking about with this veil thinning, is that not only are we expanding on a frequency level and our visual spectrum's increasing, so really pay attention to flashes of light out the corner of your eyes, or, you know, deja vu or glitches in the matrix. All these things are happening, but it's going to start to become more concrete. And that's where I'm really, if I see it, I'm going to get my camera out as fast as I can.
And you know, you mentioned something, you just said it now, I was going to say it earlier, from the corner of your eye. So you said originally, if you feel something around you, take your camera, take a picture, but also don't necessarily look straight at it. If you think something's in front of you there, turn around and try to see loosely without zooming in from the corner of your eye. You'll see more. Anyways, I'm not sure what that is.
It's actually in our anatomy. So the cones and the rods and the peripheral vision are what actually picks up on that spectrum. So it's not that you're going to really see auras front on. I mean, I train people to do that. And when you get really good at it, you see with your third eye. And that's where you get like the fine-tuned, clearer image, or where you read like the cards upside down like I do, where you get the visions. So yeah, so much fun. So many fun things to play with.
All right. Oh my God, we're already 22 minutes in. 22. I love it. Okay, let's get into this water theory tonight. Do you want to start with the gematria? Do you want to start with the 4 states of water, the structured water? Where do you want to go?
Yeah, let's do gematria, because I'm showing you beforehand. I'm like, I literally have a massive amount, and then I've got series of stacks of papers connected to do with this. But yeah, so I guess we were talking about the consciousness of water, and we'll also cover like the sacred waters within if we get time to sort of go over everything. But let's kind of like set the scene in, we have waters on the earth in oceans, lakes, rivers, creeks, streams, brooks, probably other things that I've forgotten, puddles. We have water in the, you know, in the firmament and in the heavens above. So I asked a few questions in gematria, and spirit very much leads me with my research. They'll tell me like what to look into, or they'll give me a word that I don't know and tell me to research into that. They'll give me an explanation, and sure enough, when I go to look up the meaning of that word, it's exactly what spirit's told me. So I really love being spirit-led in my research. So yeah, I'll just have a read of some of these cool things that are coming up, and we will talk about how it ties in to the anatomy of us and how the sacred waters within are connected to the sacred waters of earth. And it is the earth and it is the actual spirit of waters that are wanting us to communicate this and to really look into this topic. So when I type into gematria, secret of water, we get things like love you, holographic universe, aromatherapy for the soul, bridge builder, heaven and earth. So it's kind of that conduit between heaven and earth. It's spirit that operates in both. Jesus is the Alpha and Omega. Make your city green, Lamb of Yodhe Vodhe. The commandment is for you. It is what it is. Heaven's original soul. So these are phrases that have the same exact number value as Secret of Water. Then we have just the word water by itself is the same as we are one, Ark of the Covenant, the rise and return of Q, calculate intentions of heart.
Okay, I gotta stop you. Go back to.
I know. I'm like, do I put this one in? Are we allowed to
because
say?
that's so funny because all of those boards are lit up right now. There was something that was said, I believe last year, maybe 2 years ago in a 2-year Delta, and it was watch the waters. And of course, coming from that letter of the alphabet. So now that you bring that up, it's absolutely fascinating. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. And I mean, this is how this thing works. And for me, gematria is, it comes in, or it's connected to the builders of our matrix that we live in. So some of the messages I receive and some of the downloads and some of the spirits I connect with are outside of this matrix. So they give us little breadcrumbs. They give us the number synchronicities. So even you might get like 777, 222. Always look at what it was that you were thinking at the time of that too, because it's like they're giving you little source codes. But yeah, we've got Holy Royal Gene. Aware is, and when I type in the spirit of water, the exact other phrases that equal the value: Jesus return, my first love, baby, I'm perfect for you, only love is real, only patterns exist. And if we look at what is it, the Secret Life of Water, Dr. Emoto's work, where we look into the geometries and patterns and things, the enlightened ones end time prophecies. Or end time prophecy. So the enlightened one's end time prophecy. One King, one Lord Jesus, Book of Yahweh, and then another one, the Living Library. And that's what I see water. It's a container for holding memory, for holding pattern, for holding frequency, for holding code. So there's so much in this. I do have gematria connected to certain organs in the body as well. Oh, also, when we type in the phrase, what are the sacred waters? We get monatomic elements found in platinum group, elixir, and mineral magic. So if we look into monatomic gold or ormus, things like this, white powder gold, there's something to do with the element of monatomic platinum or the monatomic platinum group that's connected with water. So what does this mean when we take in, little, ormus supplements or white powder gold, things like this? We're activating and kind of giving frequency and energy to the water within. So it's not just about like water being this inert fluid substance. And this is where it changes when we look to what's actually happening in the body, and to look to the plasma in the body. We look to the electrolytes and the electrical exchange between different organ systems and how water is kind of created. So I've got like a lot of the science that goes behind this too. So I don't know how deep you have time to get into today. But yeah, we've also got God's new platinum. So there's definitely some kind of correlation or connection with platinum and with water.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Dr. Emoto's book, if you want to bring it up for the people.
Yeah,
I'll take a snapshot and I'll also show them where they can get that on Amazon. But yeah, talk about briefly here how some of his experiments showed that water was holding different frequencies based on what it had been subjected to. And this, of course, relates to the water inside your body. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we've got some beautiful pictures here. And this is something that, that I talk about with my kids. So it's got examples in here, like this is oil in comparison to and it's more the word of oil that they're frozen in the water too. So, there's a lot of corruption and different things. I'm just having a look. Oh, you can see the formation of the crystal happening as well. But things like if you were to say to someone, or speak to the water, saying names that were of not the nicest frequency. Here's a good example, actually. So in the top, we've got war, and then down the bottom, we've got peace. We can see that, trying to get it to not shine the light. So we can see that it's an unstructured, non-symmetrical pattern. Whereas when we come into peace, it's beautiful and it has this ethereal quality or concept behind it. So when we look to the waters on the earth, there's a lot of pollution that's happened, and it's made it very hard for the water to actually hold her spirit in this. Just as like when we're injured, or if we have, fractures happen on a spiritual level, sometimes we want to fly up and out. But there's sacred places that have water. One place that came up recently was the sacred waters of Lourdes, or Lourdes in France. That was coming up in a reading for a client lately. Another place, sacred waters in Hawaii. There was a connection with one of my gorgeous clients who's on here, actually. It was talking about a gorgeous place, the Valley of Rainbows, that was coming up. And when we actually Googled it, it was a real place, the same way that we described. So a lot of stuff that we get from spirit, we're able to then go and find that there's a correlation that these places exist. Water on the earth is also something that in Aboriginal or original people culture is connected to the rainbow serpent. Myself, like working, I guess, from an ET perspective, some of my memories of working off-world were in the Syrian water temples. Now, these temples were oracle temples, and we use the water as scrying tools to look into other dimensions. So there's something to do with water also being vortexes and portals. So if we can increase and start to actually put our frequency and our heart, because this is stimulated from electromagnetic energy, that's what impacts and charges and changes water, is the frequency that we're putting into it. So some of the experiments with, oh, sorry, what was that, JC?
Oh, no, keep going. Keep going. Didn't interrupt you.
Some of the experiments with Dr. Emoto's water as well was that it does make a difference to do with the intention that you're putting behind this. Oh, and thank you for the comment. We just saw it. So
we're all being activated by SOLRETA and her amazing voice. But let's go back to this here too. There was a comment in the, did I just lose it? Something about, oh, I can't wait for my DNA to be activated. Not necessarily related to the water here, but in fact, it might very well be. We have all
there's definitely
we have this junk DNA. Yet, if you look at the frequency and how it's affecting the water, could those same frequency, if applied to that water and that water ingested, also maybe realign or activate DNA? What are your thoughts on that, SOLRETA?
So my belief is that what we've told about using 10% of our brain and junk DNA is BS. I think that it's designed to keep us small, to keep us in Saturn's cube or in the box. So I really believe that with power, with intention, and with these higher frequencies, like we were talking about with the water, it actually switches on epigenetic gears. And it's not necessarily like, if you have genes that are, so say it's like, oh, it's in my DNA, it's in my genes, it can't be changed. That's not true. We see new science all the time showing that you can actually change your DNA and things. And those different diets, different moods and mindsets and thought forms that actually impact. So Dr. Joe Dispenza's work has been amazing for, people curing stage 4. I don't even know if we can say words like that anymore, but you know what I mean when we talk about stages.
Not here, no.
So I'm just being really careful and mindful because we need your channel. And it's such a lovely place for everyone to connect. That's what my clients and I always say, like, it's just soul family coming together. So I really appreciate everyone on here. But yeah, I definitely feel that spirit and the nature spirits that are coming around, not only are they broadening our vibration and our senses and stretching our reality, this is also helping to initiate and activate these. And I feel that our DNA is supposed to switch on at a particular time. For me, since I was a young child, or since ever I can remember, I've always had different gifts or, working with clairvoyance and had spirits visit and things like that. But we are in a time of the earth shifting. And so working with the water, it's definitely time to really recognize her as a spirit just the same way as we recognize the earth as a being, the water is also a living being. And so, she has this connection on and off world. The interesting thing is if we break it down into, into science, and we look at the 4 states of matter, which I've drawn up here as well. So plasma, which exists in pretty much like everything, is like one of the 4 states of matter, but like, there's a connection with water. So we've got, so solid, which is ground. I don't know if you guys can see this. We've got liquid, which is ocean water, and we've got gas, which is in the atmosphere. Then we come to a state of plasma, which is the first state of matter in the universe. It's the most powerful one as well. It's ionized gas with a mixture of electron, neutral molecules of both positive and negative charge. And these move around chaotically. So if we look at, plasma being one of the fundamental underlying factors of creating things in the universe, what is it that, like, where do we have the plasma within our bodies? We have plasma within the blood. And there's also what happens, like, okay, now I've got to get like really into it.
There's also plasma in both female ejaculation and male ejaculation. Okay.
Yeah. Definitely. So I want you to cover that aspect because you're a genius when it comes to that.
I don't know how far we could go here because you and I have talked about this on my first channel and we got deleted during the show. So.
Well, actually, we didn't even get to film it. You just had the title up and we got axed.
That was that was Kundalini Rising, and that was a different show actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I laughed, but it wasn't funny at the time.
So I'll talk a little bit about where these sacred waters are produced. So we've got a choroid plexus right sort of like near the center of the brain, and it's these beautiful little ventricle chambers. So it comes kind of through the blood vessels, and the water is manufactured and produced here. So we talk about fluid protecting the brain. It also helps to drain away toxic waste and different other processes. So if we're not detoxing, we're not clearing, and we're not doing lymphatic things and eating well, this becomes congested with, there's one guy that refers to it as toilet water. So, our brain can literally be sitting there. So we need to make sure that we're getting these waters pumped and, working with clearing pranic tube energy, working with Kundalini, things like this help to stir up and activate and move these waters around. Where spirit was taking me, and I've done a lot of, topics and talks with the sinuses, and we've talked about the connection with the sinuses and spiritual centers. So if we're looking to this, we know that the brain is electromagnetic. It's like a little computer. We have the piezoelectric qualities in the pineal gland, which I think it's a thing that's not quite solid, not quite a liquid. So I think a piezoelectric quartz crystal vibrates around 230 something thousand hertz per second. So we've got walking little tuning forks, and there's literally a tuning fork on top of our pineal gland when you look in the anatomy books. Crystals in our ears. So we have this tetrahedron of crystal connected power energy. This is the gateway. So it's a gateway in terms of our consciousness. The water runs through here. So if we're looking at pumping up this water, activating the Kundalini, it opens the gateway. This is our way to interact with the psychic world, to interact with the spiritual world, how we interact with each other. But what fascinates me is when we get to the heart. So our heart is one of the biggest, generators of electromagnetic energy. And we're hearing a lot of stuff happen with hearts at the moment, in whether it's more the alternative side of things. So I am going to use the P word, pericardium. So we have this beautiful sac that surrounds and protects the heart, and it's fluid filled. The interesting thing is that the plasma or the water that's in there is like 99% pure. And it's interesting in that, like, our blood has plasma. Now, this has the proteins taken out with the waters, but it still has a plasma-like consistency. It consists of chloride, which we know is sort of like an essential salt saline type consistency as well, or substance. So when we look into batteries, or we look into water and how it sort of can hold charge and things, we need to make sure that we're having minerals and that we're getting enough charge. So this is where I look to perhaps our H2O, our regular water or our tap water that's been polluted is not quite hydrating and activating us to our full potential. So I was really looking not only like with what I find with myself, I find I feel more hydrated if I'm eating fruit and getting water that way. So, and I always am a massive proponent of talking about green juice. So green juice has H3O in it, which has a smaller molecular level. So we're actually getting hydrated for possibly one of the first times in our life. So people do kind of talk about this connected with like structured water or hexagonal water. I sort of view it as crystalline. And with the green juice, it also has the biophoton plasma energy from the sun. So we're invigorating, remineralizing our living waters, this sacred water within. So it's all interconnected. That's kind of like a snapshot of it. I will definitely be going into each and every production of it, what you can do, what supplements in our Manifesting Reality course that's coming up soon. Yeah, we'll be also doing hypnosis and really helping to like reset and reprogram and go in. And even I have acupuncture points that turn and switch these gates on. So there's actual trigger points within our anatomy that are like little chips of the bone carved out that are gateways to open these faculties. So I'm so excited with, that's what I've been busy with at the moment. I'm so excited with this rabbit hole. I'm just Alice in Wonderland all the way when it comes to the water research and psychic development.
Right. I'm so excited too. And there's so much to do here on the BeyondMystic.Academy. And of course, SOLRETA's coming up here, not just with manifesting reality, quite a few other things too. We thought about meditation, visualization, using the magic as SOLRETA's been using here with her clients as well. All of this is coming up, but we just need time, of course, to record all that stuff and put that together in a course format for you guys. There was a question from Britt Meritz. Can you code your own water? What would you suggest there?
Yeah, definitely. So you can use light language to code, but even like we've got a big alkaline water vessel that we use with zeolite crystals. Now, I do prefer magnetically charged zeolite just because it can encapsulate and pull heavy metals out of the body, which most other zeolites are kind of inert unless it accidentally passes a heavy metal in the body. And we know that most heavy metal goes to the brain. So the more that we can clear out these toxins and things, the more that we can actually take in not only the water, but we can take in the codes that are held within the water. Because when we're working with water that has a healthy crystalline energy or geometric structure, coconut water is actually another one that's quite good. And what's interesting, when we look to green juice or we look to chlorophyll is almost bioidentical when it comes to the molecular structure. With its consistency, with almost looking like blood or looking like hemoglobin. Ours has iron in it. Plant blood has magnesium in it, but they're the same kind of molecular looking structure. But when we look to the green side of things and coconut water, back in like old war days and things, when they didn't have blood to do transfusions with, these were things that they've talked about that they could do. So I find that very interesting, and that they contain plasma. A different type of plasma to the blood, but still very fascinating. Oh, I forgot to mention, I actually put pericardium and choroid plexus into gematria just to find out, okay, is this as sacred as what I feel? So do you want to hear like what the ones are for that?
Do you have it written down?
I do.
Okay.
So we've got pericardium, manifestation.
Of course.
Is the direct, and I'm like, knew it. I literally like, I knew it, because that's what Spirit kept showing me. This is where we manifest. This is where you send the frequency out, but send it out, not just through the electromagnetic nature of the heart, ripple it and send it out through the waters, connect it with the waters of everywhere. If everything's fundamental nature is plasma and it exists in pretty much everything, you're sending it out into the quantum. But yeah, it's also our decoder. I am Christ God. Godly, sun gods, which I have a massive connection with, more information around that. Alpha, Omega, Light Lord, the hidden light of Lord, and hidden info master. It blew me away even more than the water, looking into the power of our organs. Choroid plexus as well. open the third eye. These waters that are sitting right near the pineal gland are connected to do with us opening the third eye. Indigo consciousness, there is no turning back, which I associate with a red pill. So once you switch this on and we get these crystals buzzing, like we're going to do in the Manifesting Reality course, there is no turning back. This is like the ultimate red pill. God's prophecy code, the Holy Great One, Heaven's Dream, or Heaven Dream. So yeah, that's just like a little bit of the rabbit hole. I've got more, but we don't have time to go into it today. So like, if there's anything you want to ask about.
Well, Lisa Dyer says, yeah, I can't wait for the course. I know there's so much we need to get into. Quickly,
so much fun.
What's that?
It's going to be so much fun.
Absolutely. Michael says, hey, where can you get the green juice? And somebody else was asking about the green juice too. You went a little bit fast over that. Do you want to share a little bit more on that? Go ahead.
With the green juice, it's predominantly like a vegetable-based juice. So anything that's high in chlorophyll. So if you're a little bit lazier at nighttime like me, and it's always best to take green juice. If you're only doing it once a day, do it after like 9 p.m. because it's going to cellular rehydrate and sink in so that your body can utilize it for cellular rejuvenation, anti-aging, purging out toxins. Your digestive system's kind of close down that time of night. So really the cells drink it in so much more. I love spirulina, chlorella, wheatgrass. These things are really high in chlorophyll. Chlorella is a really good scavenger hunter to seek out little I guess things that are within us that we don't need. And spirulina really, for me, has like another supernatural kind of quality. It sort of feels like it exists between two worlds. So I try and take supplements or work with things that I feel exist on a spiritual paradigm as well as affect the physical.
Okay, very good. And for the folks who are lazy, you could also get just the chlorophyll and get you started on that.
Exactly, you can just buy liquid chlorophyll. But yeah, some of the powders, otherwise you can juice, your leafy greens, celery, cucumber, tend to keep fruit out of it because it involves different digestive processes to process the sugars in that. So you more want to just stay in that neutral, but also it's alkaline. And when we look to the pH of the waters within us, I think it's like on 7.33. Don't forget, we also have waters that we're born in, the amniotic fluid, which is self-replenishing. So these are the first sacred waters that we know is in our mum's womb space. So there's so much to go into with it.
The other thing you mentioned too, I wanted to bring up, I did this show with Dr. Richard Allen Miller. I think it might have been 4 or 5 months ago, the last one we did. I think, yeah, it was just before I lost the last channel. I think I lost it after the interview with him. He talked about, first of all, he talked about plasma. We talked about the thoughts that humankind hold at orgasm, we'll just say it that way, and how absolutely potent that is in bringing that plasma or that protoplasma into creation here, and how all of the secret schools know this stuff, but this is like information that is occulted from the rest of us on the planet. But you just mentioned there what was interesting, the water in the pineal gland. He also suggested through some of his experimentation and his work that the water in the pineal gland had this effect of creating this electromagnetic cavitation of sorts. And he says, when you look at the processes there, it's similar to what we're seeing with UFOs, like that technology that they use to transport themselves to a different frequency. So it's not a propulsion mechanism per se, it's phasing out of one frequency and then reappearing in another frequency through that cavitation. Anyways, that was a fascinating show. It's on, I think it's still on my pay-per-view if they haven't deleted there too. But yeah, wow. SOLRETA, you're putting so much in together here.
I have an example of a being flying in its plasma field. So I filmed it. It's on my channel. It's I can't remember what date it is off the top of my head.
No, that's the Merkaba thingy. No?
Yeah, so there was one that was like a white pearl flying in the sky, and you can see this figure sitting inside of it. So this is what it looks like when we actually learn how to generate and work with our plasma field. So this is where we're starting to tap into our unlimited potential. But I do feel with the third eye, it's very connected with the crystals that we have within and with this gateway. And I don't even know if I can say the letters that make up this government body, but there was a paper that was released, I think it was 1983. If you like your alphabet, it's closer to the start of the alphabet. It starts with C. But yeah, they researched and put out a paper called, I think it was The Gateway. So this is all connected with what we're talking about as well. Yeah, but we're starting to look into other different ways of our spiritual anatomy and how this is our birthright. It's literally our divine birthright. And this is part of what the spirit of water wants us to remember. Is that, you know, it's within the earth, it's within us. And there's so much I could say in terms of her working to activate these portals. So really, you know, if there's a place that you're called, go and work with it, you know, program some crystals, maybe do some grid work, do some light language into these beautiful water portals. And even if it's, you know, working with the polluted ones, there's extra, you know, extra care needs to be taken with them. But there's so much that water can teach us. You can even use little vials of it and have, you know, say how you work with crystals. I've even been shown in one session with clients as well that you can have little vials of sacred water, whether it's taken from different places around the world, different portals, and you can actually put someone in a grid of this beautiful structured water or crystalline water. So remembering that it's also a container. So if you send or you hold an intention or a frequency, you don't necessarily have to be in that location physically collecting the water. But yeah, spring water is best if you can drink spring water and collect it yourself.
And if you have a lot of those sacred waters from different sites around the world too in different containers, you might want to experiment taking one drop of one with another, adding that to another water and making a chimera of those sacred waters too. A lot of people are experimenting with that too, and basically cataloging their health and the changes in their body, in their mental faculties as they use these different waters. We could do a whole show just on that. Minded is asking, how about urine? So where does...
I know there's a lot of Ayurvedic practitioners, and I've got some friends that are Ayurvedic practitioners, and I've been offered urine therapy, and I've just declined. I know that it can work with remineralization and all sorts of things, but yeah, I would prefer to do it a different way.
There are many ways to skin a cat, as they say. I'm not supposed to say that. Somebody says, JC, don't say that expression. It's horrible. Okay. I don't know why I have that in my head. We can go urine at another point too. It's not just that. It's the pharmacy of the body. When you go to bed at night, your body is creating all of these compounds to repair. So it's basically in repair mode when you're sleeping. And when you wake up, it flushes the rest of those compounds because it doesn't need it. It's going into active mode. And so there's something to be said about that first drop in the morning, meaning that you have the most potent pharmacy built for you. So as opposed to using the big pharma version of all of these things that they give you, which may or may not be good for you, we won't get into that conversation here. There is a way, and the ideology there is that there is a way for you to program that pharmacy for yourself and to use your endogenously produced chemicals and compounds to really help maximize all the processes in your body and to elongate that period of time where you're in repair mode in your sleep, but to elongate that also during the day at different phases of the day, depending of your what's that rhythm called? Circadian rhythm, right? So there's different hours in a day where different organs are more active than not, and you can time that. Anyways, again, another huge conversation there, perhaps for another show. Guys, if you're interested in those shows that SOLRETA and I were talking about that were deleted from YouTube, this is one of them. You can find that on BeyondMystic pay-per-view, and the other one was here as well. So what are the numbers on this? SOLRETA Ontario number 2. Yeah, so if you guys go to beyondmystic.net/pay-per-view, and you just type in the search button SOLRETA, you'll find those 2 episodes there. $199. It was just to pay for the server costs and stuff like that, but there's a lot of chock full of information there that we we just had too much trouble putting that on YouTube. And then some of those conversations were adult conversations, and like
actually episode 2.
Episode 2, yes, that one was very personal to SOLRETA for sure.
It was very personal.
Yeah, and Glass Effect says, JC, you can make James Bond blush. Okay, I think he's referring to the previous plasma conversation and what. Okay, we won't get into that here. Okay, thanks, Glass Effect. I love it. Oh man, SOLRETA, we're already 53 minutes in. Do you want to take questions? Do you want to see if we can get some questions from the audience before we go?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so guys, if you have questions for SOLRETA, please populate them now in the chat. If you put them in high caps, it's a little bit easier for me to pick up and to bring up on the screen for SOLRETA. SOLRETA, do you have cards around you right now while we wait for some of the
I've always got cards around me.
What a question. Like if I didn't know the answer. Yeah, let's do a reading here on why right now, as a human collective, we are being asked to reconnect and refocus to the consciousness of water. What's the impetus now? What's happening in the world? We're moving towards the age of Aquarius, of course, kind of a hint here to where we're going. But what can universe tell us right now to kind of tune in to that frequency and why it's so important right now?
You read my mind. You and I are always so in sync with this. I'm like, oh, we need to pull cards to do with water. Okay, so we've got 4. And as some of you guys that have been following JC and I for a while see that I have to read them upside down. So we'll first start with filling into the energy and vibration of the cards and see what message comes through from spirit, and then flip them over.
Okay.
So the first thing that I'm getting, there's this beautiful golden, it does look like a plasma type energy coming in. And I feel that it's coming in. It's interesting. I'm seeing, I guess you would call it like a filament. So if we're looking at things as coming into our realm or coming into the lifting of the veil or curtain, there's new frequency that's available that's coming into us. So she's showing me this beautiful golden frequency. The energy that I get with it, it's almost like she's saying the words liquid sunshine. So she's not just talking about like the importance of water, she's also talking about the energy with the biophotons and the sun, but there's something to do with that almost like impregnating or encoding water as well. So you could set intention, or you could put like water out in the sun, or whether you want to make like a sun tea or something. I'll just see what else we have come up with this. Where she's showing me is, it's like that's coming in, we can utilize that, but she also wants us to utilize where we start to communicate with water. So whether this is also, getting out into bodies of water, preferably hot springs, lakes, the beach, the ocean, natural bodies of water, because there's an intelligence that's coming in. So how you were talking before about like with the urine therapy and that your body kind of knows or produces a certain amount. It's the same if you were to do that onto a veggie garden. The plants would uptake and understand the different minerals that you might be lacking. They'd be scanning and reading. What I'm sort of seeing, and I've also worked in a place called Water Temple where we actually had float therapy, things like that. Magnesium, and I'm just thinking of what we're really deficient and depleting in at the moment. Magnesium, selenium, and zinc are some of the things that we're really depleted at the moment. So if you can go to like magnesium float tank, or going to natural hot springs, things like that, we're going to get remineralization. We're going to get more electrical charge, and that's what I feel that she's trying to talk about. I'm hearing her say the word spin, and she's trying to get more of a spin on the electrons that are vibrating within our body. So definitely working with the crystals. Thank you, Ocean. Definitely working with the crystals within, as well as you can make crystal grids and things that are aimed at opening up the pineal gland. So I'm going to flip these cards. And here we have, this is predominantly cups, so we're definitely talking about water. We have the card of virtue. This is the energy of the sun wanting to come in. So we have the sun right at the top. So this is why I love to read them face down, so that I'm not influenced by the picture. I really get the message from spirit and then can talk about it. So this is about coming back into connection with God, with our divine spark within. And perhaps this is even like the spinal column with this DNA being activated. We see the lotuses coming into fruition, and that's what I didn't get a chance to go into, but all of this is connected, like with our chakras and our auric field, which is our quantum field. All of the energy systems feed into the nervous system. And this is nourished by this beautiful cerebrospinal fluid and by the 33 vertebrae of the spinal column, all of the nerve network endings, and that go into this. And that's what we're seeing come up in these next 2 cards. She's talking about the separation, and she's talking about the poisoning of our systems, of her system, of the consciousness. This is about filtration. So she's really talking to us about detoxing, not just for her body, but for our bodies as well. We also see the fear porn that's gone into this with the kidneys at the top. So the opposite of fear is love. So we really want to run love through our filter. So it's really to be careful about what it is that we're consuming on an energy, physical or food level. We also see that this is quite phlegmatic, and it's Mars and Scorpio in this energy. So, we know what Mars is a symbol for, like with the war and everything. This is more kind of an emotional, spiritual war that we're looking at. Underneath, like with this deep dive of Scorpio, it really is like keep sifting, keep filtering, keep getting to the bottom of this. We have the Eight of Cups, which for me sometimes represents where we're about to break free. It's like we're in a holding pattern and we're so close. It's like right before a quantum jump, which is really cool. With this, it's Saturn's control, which is usually involved with pretty much like pressing and bearing down on us, trying to keep us coloring within the lines. It's usually more of a government type thing coming in. I don't know what words I can say to kind of describe it. But yeah, this is really about trying to get back that touch with spirit. See how the top cards are cut off, the cups are cut off from spirit. There's no water flowing from the spiritual level down. We're literally taking water in as a survival type situation, but none of us are hydrated. Chronic disease and illness most of the time stems from chronic dehydration. We're born with about 90% water as an infant, drops to about 70. Then as we get older, about 60. When we get into disease and illness, it's around 40. So we really need to make sure that we're hydrating on a cellular level. But what water wants to share with us at the moment is Six of Cups. So Six of Cups for me is this beautiful energy that's about multidimensional reality. So when we work with our water, when we work with these portals, when we tap into like the temples, the water temples in Sirius and other places, there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of, I guess, information that can be shared and passed through these beautiful places. And if you connect and you meditate and talk with the land, she will tell you where to go. So there was another one about 2 hours from here. I haven't ventured there yet, but Spirit showed me a chalice, and they kept showing me this. It was like a body of water that you could stand in. They kept saying the name chalice. What was interesting was I had a vision of a rainbow serpent and had Stephen and Evan Strong, our friends. So I was telling Stephen this because it was with one of the rocks I held with this vision. And it turns out I could see like gold and different things as well. So this place had gold around it. I heard the name of the place. We looked it up. It existed. And what they talked about was all on the map. So some of these bodies of water are activating, just as you would go, I guess, to sacred waters to get blessed and different things. So this is about talking about connecting with these things. Again, we have the sun's energy at the top and Scorpio. So with this, it's really about coming through hard times. It's the harmony that's coming after the conflict. So we've got to pull it through. We've got to make this happen. So connect to higher dimensional variations of self. And, I see this as sort of like Doctor Strange in the multiverse, where there's other versions of self. So it's really kind of connecting and windowing in all of that power and potential that we have. But this is about activation. So I can sort of leave it there because I think we're around time.
Well, that's amazing. And you mentioned a lot. And you mentioned a lot in there, filtering, so detoxing, filtering, I think. And a lot of people were asking in the chat, hey, do you guys recommend a good filter? I personally, I don't sell this. I don't advertise it at all, but I use the Big Berkey at home. Why I like it, the filters are good. They also have the filters against the fluoride, but this is non-electric. So again, in situations around the world where we might have some difficulties, as we do now, this is something that you might want to add to your arsenal. And cost per liter of this is very low compared to some of other filters, the big brand name filters. Do you have any recommendations on that or things that you like?
So it was something that I researched for probably 10 years before I purchased one. Just from my college days, would use like other filters. I've got my off-grid one, which is an Alps filter, which does, I think, 98.9% fluoride, because that's the thing you want to eliminate is that and other heavy metals, toxins. It goes through like a gravity-fed filter of different stones that also put mineralization, alkalization. So it's an alkalizer, but prill beads, PRILL, I have them in my filter. They're massive alkalizers. They can actually clean up pollution in lakes and different things. So they last a lifetime. But as far as like on tap one, I used to have, and I got rid of it just like when I moved. Because I thought, oh, okay, you know, if we're going into end times, I don't want one electrically for the power going off. But it was the Jupiter Alphaeon. And what you find with some of the electric ones that you can plumb in that take out everything, and you can switch it to go your pH, whether you want acid water to disinfect or whether you want to come like lower into alkalization, depending on what you're dealing with, or to treat different disease and illness. But what that has is an electrolysis diode. So it splits the water into about 5 parts smaller. So you get more of like a nanosphere of water molecules. So you actually get hydrated. You end up drinking less water. So I do love those kinds of filters, but yeah, you need to make sure that that it's a good one. I think mine was like around 2,500 that I bought. So they are expensive, but you do have to make sure that you're putting the minerals in. So you might want to still pop it through like an Alps filter or a Berkey gravity fed remineralization.
Well, we have at home an inline passive system that cleans the water coming from the well. And then for the tap water next to the kitchen, I have the Berkey on top of that, which I use the same pebbles as you. And I also have crystals in there that I put on rotation. So again, adding some intention to the water at that final step there for the drinking water itself. So,
and you can buy Dr. Emoto. I got given them from someone from Japan. Beautiful water crystal stickers. So you can stick like the crystalline symbol for like love and gratitude and peace and thank you on your water. So our water tank's got those around it.
Yeah, really cool. Another question here before we go. Angie, how can I turn my 1 hour session into a 2 hour session so I can get the coupon code? I just booked a few minutes before you guys said the code. So
oh, no.
Do you want her to just email you? What's the best way?
Yeah, just send me or even a message. I'll look out for, I'm just going to write your name down, Angie. Okay. Let me just grab a piece of paper. Yeah, I'll have a look out for from an email for you. Oh, and if you've just booked it, it should be up in the top of my sessions. And I did want to say, because I do usually get booked out months in advance, like I'm still finishing off readings from March. So, and that was the last show that we did. So it's crazy. So yeah, I do have holidays booked off for September and December. So there won't be as many times available because I am taking some time off this year because I haven't had time off since a couple of days over Christmas. So I'm looking forward to some time off with the kids and yeah, hopefully a holiday.
Okay. You need to take time for yourself and the kids for sure. Somebody was just mentioning, thank you for all the great comments on the show, guys. I feel the love and I know SOLRETA feels the love as well. But someone is saying, hey, coffee is 95% water. Be careful with the coffee because that's diuretic. It actually dries you out. So if you're looking at replenishing the waters through your age, as SOLRETA was saying here, we lose a lot of that hydration as we get older. Coffee is not the best way to do that. And also right now, because of these crazy energies we're being hit with from space, that is also hyper activating your vagus nerve system. So maybe try to switch out coffee for something else, maybe chaga tea or something like that.
Yeah, dandelion, chaga, sienna pod in it will give you the laxative effect like coffee. So it depends on like what you're wanting. But yeah, lion's mane will give you the mental acuity that we get switched on. But it's really the dopamine hit that we're sort of seeking with, you know, the wake up of coffee and like to get going. So anything that sort of gives you that might be green juice. That literally does the same sort of.
You can also have a dopamine hit by saying I love you and kissing your partner in the morning. You know, it's just
that always helps.
It always helps. Yes, of course. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Please do go and support SOLRETA here at solreta.com. And you can find her work also here on YouTube at SOLRETA and Teria. This was the 23rd edition of Simulated Reality. I'm Jean-Claude BeyondMystic. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you soon. Au revoir.
Thank you, everyone.